So with this project, I'm kind of having to navigate a few different ways of gathering information because I wanted to record all this on my digital camera and I have like the digital like old school aspect, but a lot of people that I had initially thought of for to include in this ended up being out of town or like our schedules didn't meet up. So I have worked around it for a little bit. I was able to FaceTime a couple of people and kind of record that way. Um, I'm not too sure about how I'm gonna record in like um, public areas for like advertising or to show how gender roles are kind of associated in like children's toys and children's clothes and um, kind of brainstorming how I'm going to approach that. But all in all, I think it's going well. I have a really good basis of kind of understanding what gender roles are, and everyone that I'm interviewing and talking to, they also have that kind of role of or understanding of what gender roles and gender norms are and kind of what they're conforming to as identifying it as a specific gender. Um, I think it's also important that I'm capturing different ages. So I'm talking to people and interviewing people of different ages. Um, I've done some interviews with people in their, my age, around like 23, 24. Um, One was 27. A couple were in their, or a couple were in their late 20s. One's in their early 30s. A couple are in their 50s. So just gauging those different ages and seeing how gender what gender is associated with those who are older versus those who are younger and are kind of growing up in a society where gender is a social construct versus specifically and strictly biological. Um, it's also interesting to see kind of like other people mirror my own opinion of how I do believe that gender is a biological construct, or it's a biological kind of identity, because you kind of base all of like everything's kind of based off your biology to some degree, but understanding that there are so many things in today's world and society and just in our personal lives that shape our gender and how we identify and who we identify as and what roles we choose or don't choose to conform to, like kind of what we're conscious of what we're doing and then versus what subconsciously we're doing and don't really realize that it's because of um, gender roles that have kind of been instilled in us through childhood. Um, I'm also interviewing people from different areas who grew up in different areas, most most being pretty rural areas, just because we live in a rural area now. Um, but I do have a couple of people I've interviewed that don't or didn't grow up in necessarily like rural deep south, which is kind of refreshing. But I think it's also important to understand that where you're located geographically, um, through childhood and into your young adulthood and into your actual adulthood, I think it's also important to take that into account when thinking about what you perceive as gender roles or what you believe is what you believe. Like I'm asking my interviewees like what they believe makes a real woman or a real man or how they ever choose to identify. Um, but yeah, it's going pretty well. I'm excited to see kind of how everything comes together and comes in the end. So we'll see. Hi again. Just checking in for like the after portion of the project to kind of go over everything, kind of reflect on the entire project as a whole, the process. Um, all in all, I had a great startup. I had a great idea and kind of inspiration for this project. I did encounter some difficulties that I wasn't really expecting, which I'll get into. But all in all, I really like the way that everything came out. I'm happy with the final product. I think it really encompasses how people kind of see gender roles and how they subconsciously or consciously align with different views based on their geographical location, like where they grew up, where they have lived or do live, their like personal views, what their parents taught them and what they believed. So it was really interesting to see, especially the different aspects between men and women. It was just really refreshing, and it was kind of interesting that, and one of the topics was like, have you ever felt pressured to act a certain way, or do certain things because of your gender? And the men that I interviewed all said, well, almost all of them said no, but the women that I interviewed all said yes. So it's very interesting to kind of see, especially in the people that you do have around you, like your friends, family, and coworkers that you're with every day. These conversations don't always get brought up, like it doesn't always come to light, but it is interesting to open the floor to different thoughts and views on topics like that are of high controversy nowadays. As far as the process of everything, I wanted to record everything on my digital camera and just like import that, so it had like a older digital Y2K 2000s kind of look. I was not able to record everything on my digital camera because it's like an older digital camera. It's battery operated, SIM card operated, like all of those things. So ran into some difficulties that I wasn't expecting. So I had to kind of pivot and either record with my digital camera via FaceTime, or just use FaceTime videos, or just use my phone. So all in all, I was able to overcome those and still put a good project together. I'm proud of, like I said, I'm proud of the work that I did. I'm proud of the way that everything turned out. And I hope that, just like in the conversations I had with my interviewees, it sparks other people's conversations about gender roles and how they conform or don't conform, or think that they don't but actually do conform to gender roles in society, and kind of how that affects their life. So I hope that it opens up a broader conversation about life and about what people believe and see in the world. I do wish, looking back, that I would have asked more specific questions, but I am appreciative of how my questions open doors to broader conversations. So, some of them kind of pivoted in different ways that I wasn't really expecting, but am happy that they did, because it's, again, their thought process, how they see it, how they view the topic and the conversation in their life. So, again, all in all, super happy with how everything turned out, and I'm happy that I was able to learn a new skill and have this opportunity. Thank you.